Excuse me. Like and subscribe. And let's get straight to it. You can say anything you want to say. The United States is legally obligated to pay rep- reparations in the form of 40 acres and a mule to all descendants of slaves. The Civil War was about slavery. What changed in the United States after the Civil War? What changed in the United States after the Civil War? Why did the South want to divide from the United States? It was all about abolition. So you can't sit there and tell a lie and say the Civil War was not about slavery or the abolition of slavery. But then again, this country, the United States, has no morals. So the United States will always tell obvious lies, such as Columbus discovered America. That is such an obvious lie. So expecting the truth out of this country is ridiculous. And this is the case. And since this was a war, this should be handled by the United Nations. The International Court of Justice should be handling this case. In fact, the Revolutionary War was about slavery as well. It wasn't taxation without representation. It wasn't about tea. It was about the import of slaves. And it was the UK that prevented the import of slaves to the United States prior to the Civil War. And just like Germany has been paying Khazars, fake Jews, for the Holocaust, the United States should be paying African Americans for slavery. That's a fact. And it's not for the United States to decide reparations. It is for the United Nations to decide reparations or move the United Nations out of the United States. Because if the United States is not going to follow through on international justice, why is an international court in the United States? Doesn't make any sense. And all this stuff about all these studies being done in the United States about reparations, this, reparations, that, it's already on the books. That it is already on the books. The North won. The North won. So it set the legal precedent. And the legal precedent was that slave owners be compensated for losing slaves, and slaves be compensated for being in slavery so as to start a new life. Now, Special Field Order 15 was not canceled. It couldn't be canceled. Because if you cancel that, then you got to cancel the money that the slave owners received. But what happened was that the money has just been delayed. 40 acres and mule is the oldest debt the United States owes and should be paid first. In fact, the United States, before the United States pays the money that it has borrowed from the international banks, it should pay reparations first. Reparations to African Americans first, because it is the longest held debt the United States has. That debt should take priority over every other debt the United States have, and it's up to the United Nations to ensure that that money is paid. And if that money is not paid, then the United Nations should just disband, because nobody is following it. And African nations are insane if they're doing business with any country that has held their people in slavery. And when I say any country that has held their people in slavery, I'm talking about African Americans, of course. We weren't born here. We were brought here against our will, and we're prisoners here. We had to fight to vote. We had to fight to get out of slavery, which made us prisoners. We had to fight to get civil rights and equal rights, which still makes us prisoners because they're still denying it. Then you have white people running around talking about putting black people back in slavery. Now, if they're talking about putting black people back in slavery, how can we be citizens of the United States? Citizens don't put citizens in slavery. They don't have the right to do that. South Africa, instead of asking to stop the genocide in Palestine, you should have been asking for reparations in the form of 40 acres and a mule for your people right here. So we can get that 40 acres and a mule, sell it, the money due, and take that money back home to Africa. And use that money to rebuild Africa. African military, whatever. Don't have to buy the stuff from the United States or the UK. You can get better quality from Russia, China, and Iran, and North Korea. Because the only way, and then kick the United States and the UK out of Africa, and we can go on about our business. Like and subscribe. Talk to you later.